Today we're just going to do a basic tutorial on a standard Kob rig for those guys and so on that are getting into the game. Right, let's start. So what you've got is a standard two-way trace. You've got 2 or 3 different options. Either you can go sliding trace, which is one swivel above the other. Free sliding, you can put a what they call a combination lock swivel, which is fairly new on the market. It's one swivel rotating around the axis of another swivel. In this case, in sand power swivels, between 48 to about 56 kilo braking strain. That should be more than adequate. Your line, right, your trace line in sand preferred, I would say use your Kingfisher leader line. That is probably one of your more abrasive resistant ones, seeing that a Kob has got a very scouring, scuffy mouth construction. Very technical. Okay, lengthwise and so on, I would say sinker trace, anything between 65 to about 80 centimeters, always longer than what your hook trace is, so you've got direct contact with your hook. Okay. Hook trace, I would say in this case it's about 5 to 10 centimeters shorter than your sinker trace. Also the same. Some guys will go thicker with the hook trace and the sinker trace. I prefer to use them the same way, and so it gives you less twist ups. Right, hook choices. You've got a couple of different angles to tackle this. Either you can go full circle, because a Kob will take you down. In this case, I would go with anything between a 4.0 to about a 6.70 in your tridents. Is a very good one. And so I like the long straight shank. It gives you a very good hook set. Alternatively, you can use your normal hook, which in this case, I think Lynx is a very good value for money. This is a 10.0. Nothing too extravagant and so on. That will make for a nice big chocker bait, octopus, sardine bait. So that would be ideal. This is what they call a cutting point. So this thing will just slice straight in, as thick as it is, and it's actually not that heavy. So price point wise and so on, this is an unbeatable one. Next one, you can go with a dingle. A dingle gives you that option of having a full open gape of your hook and so on. So you're not going to get your bait sliding down. So that is, I would say, probably my most preferred way of catching the Kob. In this case, you'll see at the bottom it's got a little loop. Now that is made to hook onto your sinker loop or your sinker hook. So when it flies in sand, it flies in unison in sand, and as soon as it hits the water, it will unclip. But you can use it in a different way. You could take a little split ring, attach that to that and sand, and you can have an additional hook. So let's say, for instance, you're using chocker bait and you cut it into an arrow, which means 2 tentacles pointing downwards. You can have that additional hook hanging between the 2 points. There is no way for the Kob to get away from it. Okay, so that's another way. Another one I like to dub the arrow bait is if you want a more sleeker presentation and you make a snell knot, 2 hooks. You can either go 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, but always the one at the bottom would always be one size larger than the one at the top at least. Okay. Tie your high dense floatant, and the reason why I like high dense floatant, obviously in sand, it will give you more lift, and you can put a rattle in there. So if you put a rattle into your bait, from the point where you shake it to the point in sand where it goes underwater, it will be 16 times amplification. And the Kob's got a very, very defined lateral sideline, as with Alf, Learys, all of the above. They can hear it, and they also feel the vibration underwater. So that is definitely the way to go. If you've got it, use it. Okay, in this case in sand, what I like to do is cut a very, very thin little arrow, thicker in the top, pointing down towards a point at the bottom. Cut it halfway through in sand, and it gives you 2 tentacles. If it's underwater in sand, it looks exactly like a small squid. So this is definitely also a way to go in sand if they're biting scallum. And your smaller Kob, achio bossies and sand, anything between 2.5 to about 4 kilo class. That's a no-brainer.